Week away from Fun Launch Live. So today I want to talk about how to leverage events and actually how when I attend events, how I make a ton of money from going to events and being at events and attending them and just being live with there. So welcome in, you guys. We're doing a full call today on events, how events work, how I make money from attending events. And Fun Launch Live is 1 week away. It's just so cool. We are so excited. We are sold out actually on Fun Launch Live. We are totally sold out. The way we are doing it, just so you're aware, we have, if I'm not, people keep messaging me, Bridger, I forgot to buy tickets. We've been promoting tickets for like 9 months. Okay. If you forgot to buy tickets, then tough. But what we've done is we've created a waiting list on our page. So I think down below, you guys can go check out the waiting list page. And then what it does is if somebody like drops out or some people email in, I can't attend or whatever, we actually can allocate and give you an option to buy their ticket. Okay. And go from there. Or actually not buy their ticket, but fill their spot is a better way to say it. So you can join the waiting list. And I think a lot of people the last couple of days have actually been able to work through and get off the waiting list. So it's actually a pretty active waiting list. And I think we have, well, anyways, join the waiting list. We'll see our influx, but we are pretty sold out. We're going to be a full room in Miami, which is so cool. So today I want to dive into how I actually attend a lot of events. So as a lot of people don't know, I am a total event junkie. I attend a lot of events. I like going to events. I like hearing speakers. I like networking. I like seeing how they do the branding. I like seeing how they do the stage. I just want to learn the game of events, number one. Because I knew it's kind of funny, since I was young, take you back a little bit, young Bridger, I always had a dream of like speaking on big stages. For whatever reason, I was, a captain of my sports teams like football and lacrosse. I was like the captain of the teams in high school and stuff. I was also a student body president. So I had a lot of opportunities like to speak in front of people. I was a president at my junior high, like all this stuff. I was that kind of kid. And so we had a pretty big high school. We had like 2,000 kids at our high school. And so I was the student body president and I liked being on stage and doing stuff like that. And I had this dream of like, I want to do big events one day and I want to be on stage. And so what I tried to do was, apply to speak at events. So I got into college and I started I had a cool story. My brother, took his own life, had this crazy story. And I had this kind of interesting story that I wanted to share on stage. So I started to apply to speak on stages and I got turned down by everybody, which is kind of obvious. Like, Bridger, you're like, a nobody with nothing going on. Why would I have you speak on my stage? And I was like, that's a good point. So I kind of leaned in and said, I'm going to write my story and make a really great story. So I started a fund at age 22. I launched my fund, pitched my dad for money. He said no. I launched 6 businesses in college, actually did very decently well. We launched a second fund. That fund raised and deployed millions of dollars out of that fund, did very, very well. And I finally had a good enough story. And I thought at least to maybe write a book or be on stage or something. And we started these businesses. A fund launch, our company had hit $10 million in sales in like a year and a half. It just blew up. It was so cool. I can't remember. Let's see. I think it was like 16 months maybe, which is pretty cool. I can't remember the total timeline, but somewhere around there was really fast. And so I thought, man, I can get on stage. And slowly I started getting on these small speaking stages, like 30 people, 100 people. I think I did one for like 200 people. And I was like, wow, that's a big event for me, And then I said, you know what? Screw it. Everyone, it's so hard to apply to get on stages. I'm just going to throw my own event. And I will have to be on stage because it's by default, I'll be on stage. And I thought, and I really practice speaking. I take courses and coaching and stuff. And so last year we threw Fun Launch Live and we hadn't even thrown it yet. We just set this goal of 1,000 people, fund managers. We set this goal and what we're going to do. And then what was crazy is once I put that out there and we booked the venue, we started advertising, I started getting speaking gigs everywhere. People are like, Bridger, I'll fly out to Texas. Come out to Las Vegas. I want you to speak. I want to speak in 1,000 people, 1,200 people. Come speak at my event. And it just I was like, it's pretty interesting of being in the game, applying yourself. And so I started speaking on all these different stages. And then we threw our event and we actually sold out. We had 1,200 people come. We had 1,000 person room. The room was overflowed. We had too many people show up, which was so cool. We threw this big event, which was last year's Fun Launch Live. And then this year we're like, hey, let's double it. Let's do, 2,500 people. And so this year we doubled the size and we're doing it next week, which is so cool. But this last year I've now thankfully I've been able to speak on a lot of stages. I've actually turned down speaking events. And I don't mean to, it's just sometimes it's in New Hampshire and it's far away and it just doesn't work with my schedule or whatever. But it was kind of interesting. And the reason I tell you that story is first off, it's kind of cool to set a dream and kind of go after it and like do something big, which is really cool. Secondly, the second kind of lesson, if they won't let you in, just build it. That's actually, so if they wouldn't let me on stage, I was like, okay, fine, I'll just build a stage. And then you can apply to speak on my stage. How about that? How the reverse Uno card. And, but also that same thing happened for me with funds. If you ever try to go work at a big fund or apply to, a big fund, it's competitive. There are a lot of kids, smart, sharp. So I was in school, I got a 4.0. I was getting really good grades. I was trying to get good internships. I was trying to go work at a big private equity or hedge fund in New York. That was kind of my goal and dream. And, I'm going to share some more of the story at Fun Launch Live, but I actually worked really hard and actually got a bunch of opportunities. I went and toured Silicon Valley. We toured Tesla's plant, Facebook, Meta. We toured Cisco, Intuit, Google, and they were recruiting me and us. We had a small group to go work there and do finance for them. I was on the financial division, so doing finance for all these companies and kind of their internal private equity teams, et cetera. And it was funny. I ended up signing with one of them and I went and worked there and nothing bad about them. It was great, good experience. But I sat down, I was like, I'm going to work here. What we did, you do an internship for 3 months, how it works. And at the end of the 3 months, you hope they give you a job offer that you can come work the next year once you graduate school. That's kind of how it works. And so I went out to Silicon Valley, I was there. They paid a lot of money. They flew us out. They bought us a house. They gave us housing. They gave us a car. They gave us everything. It's really cool. And at the end of the summer, I had made good money and I actually got the job offer. So I got a 6-figure job offer. I got a bonus, signing bonus, all this cool stuff. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And I think the job offer was like $120,000 package or something for your first year. And then as every year you get a certain, threshold and you get bonuses. And it was kind of like, you end up making 150, then 250. And over a decade, you probably end up making, maybe if you do really well, if you work your butt off, you're making 350 to 500,000 after a decade, assuming you're in leadership roles and doing well. That's kind of my assumption. And I was like, and this may sound super arrogant, so I apologize. But I looked at that and I was like, a decade. People overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. And I saw my boss who had worked there for 15 years and he worked his butt off. I mean, he was working 70 hours a week, didn't see his family, his kids, he was just work and he grinded and he was a fantastic boss. I really liked him, really respected him. I was like, I thought, wonder if I apply myself to my own businesses, my own startups, my own fund in a decade. Will I be making more money? Let's just call it $500,000. Will I make more than $500,000 in a year after a decade? That year, the year of the decade, will I make more? And this may sound arrogant or cocky, but I said, yeah, I'm really confident. I will beat him. I will make more money than if I work the same amount, and maybe I'll even work less. And I'll be on top of my own business. And I'll be able to, he'll be applying to work for me. I'm not capped by somebody hoping I get a promotion. I'm in control. And so what happened was I turned down this whole offer. And at the time I was still running my fund. So my fund was making me money. And actually, yeah, I was already making over 6 figures a year running my fund. So I was like, I think I can do this. And about 2 months later, we launched Fun Launch. And that next year, I think I made, I don't want to share all my earnings, but I think that next year I made like 480,000 on my tax returns. It was like 480,000. And the next year we tripled that. And then it's just gotten better and better. And I was like, if I would have taken that job, what everybody says to do, go work your way up the corporate ladder, I'd be on year, I don't know whatever year that is, year 4 of that year, that was about 4 years ago. And I wouldn't be in control. I wouldn't be running my own fund. Now I manage a new fund. We sold that fund. So I exited the fund, got a great exit. So I sold that, made a ton of money. And then I now run a hedge fund in crypto that's just killing it. We're blowing up like crazy. And even just despite all the money, put the money away, I get to control my own destiny. And I get to write a really cool story of my life, of my 20s, that I went after. I did something crazy. I took life by the horns. I didn't wait for my boss to give me a promotion and go try to get an MBA and do another accreditation and get like a little verification form that one day people will believe I'm smart enough to like start a business or make money. I said, screw it. Let's just do it right now. And that all came back from an event I attended, a handful of events. I attended a Tony Robbins event in 2017, I think. Changed my life. I then attended Funnel Hacking Live with Russell Brunson, changed my life. I attended Steve Larson's event, changed my life. Those 3 events kind of catapulted me one to the next and built me this confidence and reservoir of tools and things that I needed to go launch businesses. And I attribute everything I have today. I'm a product. I keep saying this. I'm a product of events. And that's why I mentioned the story of speaking on stage, but I really wanted to throw an event because, again, I could speak on stage and stuff, but really there's a younger version of me out there that's a little lost, that doesn't know where to go. And little version of Bridger went to an event one time and it changed my whole perspective on the universe. And additionally, we're not just throwing a general business event. This is an event that's targeted just for fund managers. A lot of you guys say like, Mom, Bridger, you're so lucky you had a dad that ran a deca-billion-dollar fund. And I am super lucky. Now, again, I'll say this again. My dad has never invested in any of my funds, deals, businesses, nothing, not a zip, zero. But he's been a great mentor and coach. And I said, you know what? I want to give you guys the same access to what I had. I had a great dad. I have a fantastic brother who's an investment funds attorney. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. So you guys can come to Fund Launch Live and see them, but also see 15 other great mentors and people in my life that really have helped me launch something at a relatively young age and do relatively well. And I'm just like, I just want to pass this on. I want you guys to have the same opportunity, same exposure that I had access to. I'm so sick of the Wall Street elites or the Harvard or whatever crap. And that's the only people that can launch funds, or the only people that can be successful are those people on the other side of the train tracks, the other side over there. And what we're trying to say is we are decentralizing Wall Street. We are pulling it apart and allowing regular, normal people like me and you to go and launch and scale investment funds. That's the purpose of Fund Launch Live, which is so cool. And we're 1 week away. And I am just so excited. So I'm excited for you guys that are coming. Anybody coming, by the way, in the chat? This is a live stream. So anybody in the chat coming? I'm so excited for you guys. Again, I mentioned this earlier. We are sold out. We do have a waiting list, and our waiting list actually has been working pretty well. We've had a lot of people that have come through. The way the waiting list works, you go on the waiting list, and we like check our systems to see if we have and actually we're trying to add more seats right now if we can. But we've had some people that have like, hey, I can't attend, or my seat will be open, and we're like, hey, you can fill that seat. And so we've been like allocating tickets differently. So it's actually worked pretty well. So if you guys want to join the waiting list, it's down below. And then, but by the way, if you join the waiting list and you get a link to like get your ticket, go quickly, buy the ticket quickly. You don't want to wait, because what we'll do is we have a little timestamp. If you don't take that ticket, I think it's like 12 or 24 hours. We then allocate to someone else. So if you get an email that says like your ticket's been assigned to you, make sure to check out and buy that ticket, because we truly are like overpacked on our event right now, seats wise. So pretty cool. What's up, everybody? Good to see y'all. Good to see everybody. You guys are coming? Okay, awesome. Really fun. Let me pull this open here. Okay, this is awesome, you guys. So events, let me talk through though, attending events. Now I've been to a lot of events, how I actually, approach attending events. So, this is kind of my framework, I guess you could say. When I go to an event, I have first off, I have an agenda. I don't just nilly-willy walk into this event. I typically write down multiple things that I am looking for answers to. Whether it's my business, whether it's my family life, whether it's my kids, like even it can go that far, because we have speakers talking about all sorts of stuff. And sometimes it's not even something a speaker says, but it's like who they are, or maybe sometimes just you get a moment of inspiration. Just there's something about being immersed with 2,000 people on the same topic. And we keep things, we have like music and lights, and it's like a freaking rock concert at our events. They're really fun. There's something about like being away from home, and you're just thinking about like introspectively, like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to have a better relationship with my spouse, or I'm trying to learn how to raise more capital for my fund, or even learn what a fund is. Or maybe I'm trying to learn how to like scale my business, 10x over the next 5 years. And what happens is if you just the way the brain works, as a man thinketh, right? You put these things out in the universe, and oftentimes you'll get inspiration over 2 or 3 days. And sometimes middle of the night, you'll wake up and you write something down. So first tip I'd give you, show up with an agenda. Come with things that you want to take away from the event. Okay. Number 2, come with a couple good stories. Okay. Come with a good story bank. Come with a elevator pitch. You are going to be meeting a lot of people in the event, during lunch, dinner, sessions, whatever. I highly recommend never eat lunch alone. Grab somebody new. Hey, let's go over here. Because what happens is everyone's away from home. Everyone's looking for food at lunch or whatever. Hey, let's go sit down. I just want to hear about your business. Tell me about you. And get them talking about themselves. And whenever they ask you about you, have a few really interesting things to bring up and think through them beforehand. Oh, like, hey, I just got back from Dubai, and man, we were talking to this thing and we did X, Y, and then that makes your audience kind of lean in, like, really? You just got back from Dubai? What were you doing there? Why were you, oh, well, we met with some crown prince and we did this and whatever. Or it doesn't have to be about finance. It could be people start asking about you and, oh, I'm from Tennessee. Actually, I'm in Tennessee and I love restoring old cars. I just built this old like Mustang fastback, whatever thing. Like, here's a picture of it. It's just phenomenal. And just have talking points about yourself that are interesting. Those are a few dumb examples, but have a little bit of a story bank built up. Be an interesting conversationalist, right? And even practice a few jokes, bro. Bring up a couple stories that are kind of funny or joke, like, oh man, yeah, I do a real estate fund. We bought this property. Guess what? We freaking bought this property. In the basement, we found a safe and it was like locked. So we got this locksmith to come over and crack the safe open. And we found all these documents. We found like some gold coins and stuff, and like have some stories ready to go, that are going to make you interesting to meet and talk, and people are going to want to know who you are. And then third is, we're going to talk about this on stage actually, is converting those people and grabbing, building a list, grabbing cards, people, putting them on a list, keeping a database, and really creating friendships from this event. There's going to be a lot of successful people at Fun Launch Live. There's a lot of people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, even billions of dollars, showing up for this event. And you're going to be able to meet and rub shoulders with some pretty powerful people, which is pretty cool. So come ready to share. If people ask you what you do, have an elevator pitch ready to go. Quick, short, funny, whatever angle you want to hit. I'd practice it on the plane. Bring up, hey, have you guys read this recent book on AI? Oh man, have you guys talked about, and like have interesting topics to bring up with people. And all of a sudden, everyone wants to talk to you. Everyone wants to hang out with you. You're the belle of the ball. Okay. I don't know if that's helpful at all. That's how I approach events though. In kind of a, I know that sounds weird, but I actually approach, can I just be vulnerable for a sec? I approach family gatherings like this. I approach kind of anytime I meet with people like this. If I'm going to a family reunion, I'll think through 1 or 2 or 3 stories that are pretty engaging or funny or just whatever. And then during the course of dinner or that night or whatever, I'll kind of bring them up. And what it does is it keeps the conversation lively. And so I have stories that I bring up. And then I premeditate questions I want to ask the people I'm going to see. So think through like, oh, hey, I heard you were doing this, whatever, at your job, your company. Tell me more about that thing. And then be curious about people. Be interested, and everyone's interested in themselves, right? So be curious about them, dive into them, dig into what they're doing, what they're interested in. And don't just be surface level, like ask a follow-up and another follow-up and another follow-up. And hey, okay, so at your job, you guys are launching a full social media platform. Okay, tell me more about that. And why are you doing that? What's the pitfalls? How are you going to compete against these other sites? Or what's your strategic advantage? How are you going to come about it? Like really, and people really love talking about themselves. So get them talking about themselves. Those are kind of my advices when you're coming to Fun Launch Live next week, which is so cool. This helpful? Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. I'm checking the chat here. Love it. Great advice. Yeah, it's awesome. What's up, Adam? Adam Lethko, what's up? Good to see you. Brody, good to see you. We're streaming on multiple spots here. So we have people on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I think my software should throw all of the chat in the middle, but I don't know. We'll see if it all works. So for next week, when you guys are coming to Fun Launch Live in Miami, and by the way, if you're on the fence about coming to Miami, first off, you can join the waiting list. I think we can get you a ticket though. We have a lot of people coming through waiting list. Flights to Miami right now are so cheap. I don't know why. I keep Googling it just to check. Like we can even do it right now if you want. Let's just see. Maybe they've jumped. I'm just doing this live, but flights are incredibly cheap. Here we go. Google flights. Let's click on here. Okay. Let's just go Salt Lake City to Miami. Let's just see what we got here. And we'll we'll fly in the 9th. We fly out the 12th, let's just say, or maybe the 13th. That would be our timeline there. 9th and 13th. Here we go. 178 on Frontier, nonstop, 388. Like, that's like nothing for flights. Let's try another one. New York City. I know some of you guys are up in New York. Let's just do New York. We'll see all the flights. New York to Miami. 138 nonstop. Delta 170. I know you guys are like, I'm not flying Frontier. Okay, don't fly Frontier. 178 on Delta. 178 on JetBlue. Let's do like a cross country. Los Angeles. Boom, bada bing. 216. I don't know why they're so cheap. Like, it's so freaking cheap. And then I looked at hotels around we're at the Miami Convention Center. Hotels per night are like less than $200 a night. Let me show you. Hotels near Miami Convention Center. Let's just see. But they might have jumped. I don't know. We're just doing this live. I mean, look at these. 130, 160, like 250 if you want to be get a really nice hotel. It's $250 a night. Like, these are so cheap. So you got no excuse is what I'm saying. Yeah, no excuse. But yeah, next week's gonna be very fun. So again, I would show up, just by schedule and by way of announcement as well. So for next week for Fun Launch Live, come early. The 9th, we're having a full networking night, the 9th after check-in. So the 9th is the day before. And then Wednesday, make sure the first session starts at noon. Please be there on time. The first session is going to be crazy. We're announcing all this new stuff. It's going to be awesome. That morning, though, we have kind of networking sessions. You guys can meet people. And then we have the session all day. We got Tim Ballard coming. My dad, by the way, I talked to my dad 2 days ago, and he's like, Bridger, I've just cracked this whole new theory on, and some of you guys know my dad formerly ran a $10 billion family of real estate funds. He's like, I got this brand new theory on why these banks are collapsing and why JP Morgan Chase keeps winning on all these deals. They bought First Republic Bank for like 3 cents on the dollar. Did you guys see that? Like, how, like, why? And my dad, and he's got a unique view on the world. Negative interest rates. Last year he talked about boxing and Bitcoin, how he thinks Bitcoin and gold, and because we saw gold and silver markets were manipulated by JP Morgan, actually the same company. They got fined, the largest SEC fine in history, $980 million. And he has this whole theory, and he's going to talk about it again. So I don't want to spoil his talk, but how Bitcoin is in a similar realm, and he thinks, but crypto and a central bank digital currency where the US dollar is, how the US dollar index compares to the UN and other currencies. Very interesting. And we were talking about it all Sunday. He's like, and these bank collapses are lining up perfectly with his theory. And so you guys are going to really love. He's actually speaking day one. So you want to make sure you're there day one to hear his session, which is going to be so cool. Phenomenal speaker. My dad got voted best speaker of last year's event. Additionally, so then we got day 2, which is Thursday, and then Friday, we've got Jim Rogers coming. So Jim Rogers he wants to dive into China and Asian markets right now, because he actually lives in Singapore. So, and talking about BRICS nations versus the US dollar, I know it's a huge conversation right now, a central bank digital currency. He's actually diving into all this kind of stuff, and he's going to do an open Q&A with the audience. So this is George Soros' former partner. And he even told us, because sometimes, when they do Q&As and they're like, well, don't ask that question. He even brought it up to us. He says, I want every question. He's like, I don't want to censor, no censorship. He goes, give me every question you got. Go deep. You can ask about whatever you want to ask about. And I was like, and I get to ask him some questions too. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, whatever you want. And I'm like, okay. So you guys can come day 3, the last session. We're going to have open mic Q&A. So you guys can come ask him about if George Soros and the conspiracy theories are all true. I know there's all these conspiracy theories about George Soros. Like, he's backing Antifa. He took down Venezuela. He's the one behind all these riots in the United States. And we can ask him, just see what he thinks. It's pretty cool. So that'll be fun. The last day of the event. But again, I those 3 things that I mentioned earlier, come with things ready to talk about, come with an elevator pitch, come with interesting topics, prepare yourself with questions that you want to get away from the event. And we are literally, we're flying out in just a few days to Miami. We're going to be there early, which is going to be so cool. And then you guys, probably a week from today, May 9th is probably the day most people are flying in, which is going to be so fun. And then May 10th, we have a jam-packed session. It's just going to be awesome. The whole goal of this is to help people like a younger me, someone that, and younger, maybe not in years, but also younger just in this industry. A lot of us don't know how funds work. This is the biggest game on earth. The biggest game on earth is how money, the Fed, funds, every private equity, asset managers, how this whole game works together is the biggest game on earth. It's the reason Nord Stream pipelines blow up, and you have, these wars and economic wars and trade wars. The biggest game on earth. That's what we're talking about at Fun Launch Live, which is pretty cool. So again, join the waiting list down below. How it looks, just by the way, I'll pull it up for you, just so you guys can see what it looks like on here. So you go to funlaunchlive.com. Here it is. So we are sold out, but you can join the waiting list. So here's the video, kind of fun from last year. It's pretty fun. We got Jim Rogers. I'm so excited to have Jim Rogers come, man. He's going to rock the house. He's written, I think, 3 or 4 books. I think Bull in Asia. He wrote 100,000 miles on a motorbike. Anyways, just really cool, interesting dude. I'm very excited to have him. We've got Ed Mylett coming, which Ed is like arguably the best speaker in the world right now. We got Lincoln, Ryan, David, Pace, Vina, George, Steve, Neil, Tim, Jen. Like, we have an incredible lineup. Jeremy Miner, he is most of these speakers charge, by the way, 50 to 100 grand a session to have them come speak, just so you're aware. If you wanted to hire Jeremy Miner, I think he's like 70 grand. Like, to come. Jen, she's like 30 grand. Tim Bowd, I don't know what his fee, if he has a fee. Garrett White, 50 grand to come. Like, if you tried to hire these people to come speak, Pace Morby has a huge speaker fee. Ed Mylett, massive speaker. Jim, like, if you guys want to pay them to meet with them, it's like $50,000 to get an hour. And what we're doing for $500 or $1,000 a ticket, you get access to all of these speakers that we've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring into one location. You get access to all of them right there, which is pretty cool. So what you do is you come here, join the waiting list. You just pop your name, email, and then look out. We're trying to allocate tickets correctly. And so we will look out for an email. And if an email comes to you that says, hey, we've got a ticket waiting for you, I would hurry and buy that ticket, because they time out. There's sometimes 24 hours goes by and we allocate the tickets to other people, the way the system works. So make sure that you just, if you do join the wait list, you hop on it right then. Sound good? Okay, for the cool. What other questions do you guys have? Let me pull up my my questions thing. Any questions for me on events though? This is kind of how I've structured. This is how I attend events, how I go to them, all that kind of stuff. I'm a product of events. I still spend money on events like crazy. I have me and Mason totaled it up. We've spent about $265,000. That's a full Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever. $265,000 just on courses, events, coaching groups, like being in the room with the people we want to aspire to be. We just joined Russell Brunson's group. It was $150,000. And why did we join that? Because we want to take Fun Launch to $1 billion company. And Russell's already done that with ClickFunnels. And so we thought, hey, why don't we just hire somebody who's already done it to come teach us the shortcut of how to do it? And we got to pay him 150 grand. Cool. Let's pay him 150 grand. Okay. Like, if I got to pay somebody 150 grand, but they can show me how to make 50 million or $100 million or even $1 million, that's a positive ROI in my investment. Right. So I'm like, dude, I'll do that 10 out of 10 times. I think about this like investing. And so same with events. If I can pay $1,000 for a ticket and I get access to all these people and speakers, and over the next year, from the information, the connections I make, will I make $1,000 more in my business? Yes or no? The answer is yes. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to be there. It's a positive ROI it's a positive return, right? I'm going to make, and oftentimes we've seen, it's not like a 1x or 2x. It's like a 10x or a 50x. The events I've gone to, those first 3 events that I mentioned, they have really created Fun Launch from 3 events that I attended over the course of a couple of years. And now we've done, I don't know, 18 million, 20 million in sales, something like that. Was that a positive ROI? Like, yes, like immensely. So that's my 2 cents. Okay, you guys are awesome. What's up, Hannah? Good to see you. Good to see everybody. What's up? I don't think the YouTube chat's coming through. Let me pull up YouTube really quick. Let's see if I can see it here. Got it. Oh, what's up? Okay, there we go. All right, you guys. I don't see a ton more chat questions. So again, final call. Tickets are down below. You guys are amazing. Join the waiting list, and we will hopefully get you guys in for next week, which is so fun. I'm so excited to see you all in person. It's like a family reunion sometimes. Like we get there, and all these people that I've seen and like heard on chats or whatever, I get to see them all in person in Fund Launch Live and in Miami, which is so cool. So y'all are amazing. We will go from there. So see you guys later.